everyone. 1 week back, I was reading the newspaper and I saw something that blew my mind. I saw very appalling news. It was about the 1984 Sikh riots. Many of you might know about it. It was basically a mass genocide of many Sikhs. Now, the main accused in this entire case was a man named Jagdish Titler. He was accused for providing armors to the people in order to go and lynch those Sikhs. Now, according to you, what should have happened? The courts should have taken actions against him on an immediate basis. But do you know, this is going to be so shocking. After 40 years, in 2024, now the court is actually taking actions against him. Now, Jagdish Titler is actually going through trials. Do you think this is justice to the victims of those Sikh riots? Do you think this is justice to the people of our country as a whole? In today's video, I would like to talk about the main flaws in our Indian judiciary and how we can actually solve them. I would like to begin with a quote which was said by Martin Luther King. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Do you know, there are nearly 62,000 pending cases across various high courts, and most of them are more than 30 years old, including 3 of them which are awaiting disposal since the year 1952. The longest running legal case in India went on for 73 years. It was finally settled in 2023, and that case was just a bank liquidation case. Do you think this is really fair to the people of our country? Do we have to wait for like 40, 50 years to get justice? There are so many people whose legacies have died while actually fighting for justice. According to the 2022 Prison Statistics of India report, there are 573,000 prisoners in India, and around 76% of them are still facing trials. That means the court hasn't taken actions against them, or they are still going through procedures. Former Supreme Court Judge Markande Kadju said that if we don't add any more cases from today onwards, our courts would still take around 360 years to clear them all. Imagine that there are so many criminals who are walking in our country freely just because the courts haven't taken any actions against them. We know the famous Nirbhaya case. It happened in December 2012. However, this case took 7 long years to get justice. The rapists were hanged in March 2020. Similarly, we know the Hathras rape case. In 2020, a 19-year-old Dalit girl was raped and murdered. But do you know, her family, her kids still haven't received any justice. One of the main reasons for the lack of immediate justice in our country is actually the lack of good and genuine judges in our country. The ratio of judge to people in India is 21 judges for a million people. However, in USA, the ratio is 150 for a million people. Similarly, Sweden only has 18 judges for a million people. Now, Sweden is apparently one of the safest countries in the world. Also, it has one of the best judicial systems despite having only 18 judges for a million people. This is because their crime rate is also relatively very low. India and USA have similar crime rates. But even though India and USA, we have around similar crime rates, USA has ensured that the number of judges they have is according to the demand and supply issue in this entire judicial system. The second flaw in our judicial system is corruption. See, India is a democracy, and one of the main pillars of democracy is the government or the courts being unbiased. But it's very sad to know that the entire judicial system in India is actually very corrupt. For example, in 2017, Justice C.S. Karnan was imprisoned. He was a former High Court judge. He was imprisoned just because he spoke against some Supreme Court judges. Do you think this is fair? A judge was imprisoned just because he spoke against a few judges? We saw the Kolkata rape case. Our Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, he was questioning a very famous Supreme Court advocate whose name was Kapil Sibal. D.Y. Chandrachud asked him why an FIR wasn't filed. However, this man, Kapil Sibal, actually tried to turn down the entire case by saying that an FIR was filed but under the case of an unnatural death. If a rape case is termed as an unnatural death, don't you think something fishy is going on right behind our eyes? There certainly is. I think corruption is one main reason why our entire judicial system is shaking. It's on the verge of getting torn apart. The third main flaw in our judicial system is that the government gets involved in legal matters. One of the most important principles of democracy is that judiciary and governance should be two separate things. But what's happening in our country is that the government is actually meddling in the matters of courts. For example, in 1985, there was a Muslim woman whose name was Shah Bano. She and her husband, they together, they mutually did a divorce by triple talaq. Now, Shah Bano, she went to the court in order to gain some financial support from her husband. She went to the court on the account that her husband had to pay her some money because she was not financially independent. The court had earlier then passed the final verdict in on favor of Shah Bano. But then the then Congress party actually tried to turn down the entire case by actually passing a new law for women which limited the burden for Muslim men who had divorced their wives. Now, why did the Congress government do this? It was because it wanted to gain votes from the majority Muslim men. Because during that times, more Muslim men voted rather than Muslim women. So, in order to appease this Muslim men sect in our country, the Congress government actually tried to meddle in the matters of court and turn down an entire case. The last reason for our judiciary system being so drastically shaken is the lack of police personnel. See, police and police stations are the grassroots level of justice and judiciary system in India. In USA, there are 153 police personnel for a million citizens. What do you think is the grassroots level of Indian judiciary? It is definitely the police personnel and the police stations. However, do you know that in India, there are only 17,000 police stations? So, for a country that has a population of 142 crores, there are only around 17,000 police stations. That means for almost 80,000 people, there is only one police station. This is the main reason why criminals are roaming around in our country freely, because they know that the probability of the police catching them is so low. Even if we look at these police stations, we all know how inadequately staffed they are, and our police stations have such bad infrastructure. We do not have adequate resources. So this is one thing that definitely needs to change. Now, we have looked at all the flaws and all the issues with our Indian judiciary. Let us know some possible solutions that can actually help revive that spark of Indian judiciary in our country. The first solution is simplifying procedural laws. See, we are a country with the highest population, and if we look at the number of cases in our country, we all know that it's going to take a lot of time if the court takes so much time to clear each one of them. So, why don't we simplify these procedural laws? Getting justice in India is such a complex process. If we simplify these legal procedures by kind of simplifying these court formalities, we can actually lead to fast and better case solving. The next thing is ensuring transparency. What happens during board exams? If I have written a paper, then my school won't correct my paper. My paper will go to some other school. That school will correct my paper, right? Similar things should happen in courts as well. Either the judges should be constantly rotated, or the cases should be constantly rotated. So, judges will not have the opportunity to use illegal means in order to pass their verdicts. The third thing is very obvious. We need more lawyers that will lead to fast justice and case solving. The fourth solution is very important. Witness identity should remain extremely confidential, because see, either the court or the accused can easily bribe the witness, and this will definitely lead to a problem. So I feel that this is the most important solution that should be implemented. The fifth thing is that the judges and lawyers should constantly be monitored. There should be a performance appraisal of these judges. We have to check how efficient judges are, and how unbiased the judges are, and how fast these judges actually solve cases in India. The sixth thing we need is fast track courts. Fast track courts are not very popular in our country. Fast track courts are those courts which solve heinous crimes, crimes like murder, rape, etc. The seventh solution is that we should have dedicated courts to solve small and petty matters. For example, family matters or land disputes. So, there should be a separate court that only solves family disputes. There should be a separate court that only solves corporate cases. There should be a separate court that only solves cybercrime cases or POSCO cases. In this way, we will ensure that the high courts and supreme courts have more time to efficiently solve much more serious and complex cases. See, I am just 12. I gave you my set of problems and my set of solutions. If you are a government official, if you are a police official, or if you are a judiciary official, and this video if you are watching this video, my humble request to you, please take certain steps to ensure that our judiciary system gets better each time. Please ensure that I assure my future self that in the future, our judiciary system is going to be one of the best in the world. If not the best, it will surely be better than today. I hope you liked the video. Thank you. Jai Hind.